What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Eric Martinez, with my co-host, Danger K. Varos and Joshua Lucera.
Hello.
We're at the Focus Podcast today. I wasn't here last week when you guys had Matt Peterson on, right?
We had Matt Peterson.
Matt Peterson. So I'm back this week, so we're gonna get right back into it and talk about some stuff that's been kind of weighing on my mind. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you guys have heard. Have you guys heard this guy? He's online. He does a podcast. It's called the MFCEO, and that stands for the motherfucking CEO. And his name is Andy Frisella. And if you guys haven't heard him, man, you guys should check him out. And you know what he talks about? He's an entrepreneur, and he's a multi-millionaire. And he actually has a scar in his face from being stabbed in the face. He was defending a friend of his one night. They had come out of a club, I believe, and this lady friend of his was getting harassed, and he tried to step in to help.
Was it his date or just a friend?
No, just a friend.
Oh,
and
okay.
they started,
and he got slashed.
And
huh?
and the guy slashed his face, and he thought like life was over. And he talks about how he worked hard every day, and he was gonna be in business with his dad, and he figured it was the best he was gonna get. But it's crazy because when you hear his podcast, like it's all about. It's a literally no bullshit, no holds barred look on just being successful. I was just listening to a little excerpt from him just a second ago, and he's talking about how people in society today are so pampered and how kids are so pampered. He's like, we're handing out fucking trophies for 17th place. Like, you're supposed to be proud of that. Fuck no. You're not supposed to be proud to be a loser. Don't be proud to fucking just show up and place. You win, you succeed, and you win. And you win at life, and you go at life like that. He was like, people just don't get it. Like, most people... And, you know, it's funny. I say something all the time. I say most people never live their dream. Most people never realize their dreams because they're too busy living life, right? And it's when I hear him, he's a little rough around the edges. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, he doesn't hold anything back. He shoots right from the hip, and he says it how it is. But I think there's a lot of truth in that. You know, I think our society today, you know, you see these young guys getting into business, or you see these young guys getting into entertainment business or whatever, or you see people just getting in at any point in their lives, and they feel like, oh, if I'm just good at it, if I just show up, something will eventually happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's just not how it works. You know, like the three of us, you know, we have goals, right? I mean, Danger, you know, you're a comedian. I mean, would you say that is that? I mean, where do you want to take comedy? What would you like to see yourself as? Because when you say something, when you answer that, then there's something I want to say.
It all comes from movies, really. The first time I got involved with stand-up is because I thought it would be a good exercise to create material and then get rid of it and kind of help the writing process, because I was writing The Whistleblowers at the time. And I was like, you know what would really help is if I wrote jokes and just kind of, and then retired them, and it would help like the flow. And I was wrong. It ended up not helping with screenwriting at all and got me all involved in stand-up. And so, I mean, that's one goal. I'd like to, you know, pursue the stand-up as far as it goes. But ultimately, it's like I really love the movies more than anything else. I'd like to be a screenwriter. I'd like to be a comedy writer. I'd like to be a movie producer. Pick directors, pick screenplays, match them up.
All right. So you want to be, so even more than comedy, you know, so comedy is really just kind of a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's something that I like doing that definitely helps with my career and gets my name out and gets me connected with the right kind of people. You know, because I've been able to blend my love of film production with comedy with my my new channel that I just launched this week, Sketchy TV. It's a group of Albuquerque comedians, actors, writers, and we're just working together to make the most high-quality sketch comedy channel that Albuquerque's ever seen, in my opinion. And we're just going to keep pushing that. So it's a nice marriage between those two fields, and it's helping me kind of get the connections that I want in both careers. You know, like comedians appreciate me more because I put them on the show. Right. I get better shows. I get included. Meanwhile, you know, other writers and actors are hearing about what's going on and want to be involved. It just kind of helps the clout in general.
Absolutely. And make sure you do like their page, you know, Sketchy TV.
Oh, yeah, check it out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sketchy TV. You can't miss it. There's two other Sketchy TV.
But hold on. Here's the thing. Let me ask you something. Why can't you be great at both things? Why can't you be?
I absolutely can.
I mean, for example, I mean, let's just say comedy takes you in a whole different direction, and you have to step away from producing a little bit, and you have to, you know, I mean, because a lot of people say, you know, you should focus just on one thing, and I believe that. I mean, try to be great at one thing first, and then everything else can follow suit because now you have the resources, the platform, and the ability to make everything else great, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like I feel like we all have those instances in our lives where we come across obstacles and we come across things that are sometimes most of them are out of our control. You know what I mean? They're out of our control, and we don't have any way of really honing in a lot of times on what we really want because we feel like, oh man, this got's gonna take care of, or that happened, or this happened, right? So as a comedian and as a writer, if you hone those skills, and let's say an opportunity came along where you were invited to be on a big tour, would you take that opportunity and run with it full fledged, or would you say, well, hold on, this might affect what I'm doing with?
Yeah, I think if I didn't stand, let's say hypothetically I didn't stand to make any money from it, but someone gave me the option. This next year, you can either produce the Whistleblowers for $3 million, or you can go on an international tour for a whole year, opening up for Louis C.K. But in both scenarios, you don't really make money at the end. It's just, where that
Publicity.
gets you. I think I would pick producing the Whistleblowers. I would rather get my movie made than if it was a choice between making my name as a comedian, making my name as a
That's no disrespect
filmmaker.
to Louis C.K. It's just your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think I love that one considerably more. That's why I got into comedy. That's where I see myself in the future.
So let me ask you guys this: how do you feel? How do you feel about? And again, when I heard that statement from Andy, when I heard him say it, in fact,
What was the statement again?
I'm gonna play it for you. I'm gonna just go ahead and play it for you. I got it right here. I'll play it for you real quick. Let me see here. Let me find it. Give me 1 second.
The anticipation is killing me.
Right?
No. And when you guys hear him, like it makes a lot of sense. He says some stuff that is really, it really makes a lot of sense.
Hey, show up and work as hard as I can without any strategy of what I'm going to do. So that's like showing up at the Tour de France and pedaling as hard as you can, not knowing where the fuck you're going to go. It makes no fucking sense. It's not just, hey, show up and work as hard as I can without any strategy of what I'm going to do. So that's
Well, that's very true. I mean, you have to have a bad plan is better
so
than
much
no plan.
focus and energy in a day. So
Watch. I'm gonna find this, and we'll continue our talk. But I'm gonna find this because I want you to hear what he has to say.
finding good employees to work for you, it's because
And the thing is it's all about, when you think about motivation, when you think about achieving your dreams and your goals, how far are you willing to go for that? I'm asking, how far?
I don't know. It's kind of a
Vague.
question. Like, in what context? Like,
How hard are you willing to
am I
work?
willing to like take an ice pick to a homeless man?
even when it's not your fault and fixing the problem,
No, I'm saying if you want to achieve
Because
a
the
goal-
answer is yes. I will murder homeless people.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is like I think with most people in our society today, and let's just talk about teaching our kids. For me, listen, my boy is. You guys all know my boy is actively involved in boxing and in wrestling, and we train hard, and we train hard to win. We don't train hard just to show up. We don't train hard just to place. We don't train hard just to, be a participant. We train hard to win. That's what the goal is. Now, if he loses, that's going to happen. You're going to lose in life. And I always try to tell him, like, I don't care if you lose. Here's what I care about. You losing knowing you should have won. Knowing you should have ran the extra mile in training. Knowing you should have done the extra push-ups. Knowing you should have done the extra work.
Or even if he had, just knowing the mistakes he made during the fight.
Well, no, not even that. Fuck that. I'm talking about I'm talking about because people make mistakes. But if you're prepared, those mistakes can be alleviated because you can cover those mistakes because of the hard work that you've done.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
I was just implying that you learn from your mistakes in general. Because we all make mistakes. So
No, but hold on. I think you're.
This is all about kids getting awards for placing beyond third, right? It's
Well,
kind of
I'm
the
just
general
saying,
context.
not even just kids placing beyond third. I'm just saying, how are we teaching our kids, and as a result of it, how do we teach ourselves? Because a lot of people do give up on their dreams. A lot of people do quit right before things get well, or a lot of people when things get tough, right?
Right.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
We all get discouraged. We all have those days where we're like, fuck. I mean, listen, producing a movie, and you know this. I mean, shit, a lot of people out there want to produce a $3 million movie. A lot of people want to produce a $100,000 movie. That shit is not easy. It's not easy. And there's so many people running around. Oh, I'm a producer. I'm a director. Oh, I have a camera, so that makes me a cameraman. Oh, I was in a Pepto-Bismol commercial in 1969, so I'm an actor.
Right.
Like, no, it doesn't make you a fucking actor, and it doesn't make you a producer. What have you produced?
Right.
Just because you got a title of something doesn't make you a producer. What have you produced? What have you done? Right? So how do you guys target that in your own mind, in your own thought, and you go, wow, all right, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to get it done. And no matter what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
It helps me whenever I get some traction from, the general like local comedy scene that like I don't have. I'm not as dedicated to it as a lot of the other comics are because I don't make it to every open mic and things like that because I have all this other stuff going on. I could disappear for a whole month from the scene because I'm on a movie, or like lately I haven't gone to an open mic in weeks because I've been helping Stevie and the Valdez brothers with Rerun, Dirt's movie.
Right.
Just like helping with locations and running sound and stuff like that. And so like I get this kind of flack from them about that, but it used to bother me a lot the first few years that I was doing it. I was like, God, I'm one of you guys. Treat me like one of you. But then I just kind of remember that I have this whole separate path because a lot of these people that look down on me for maybe not being as comparatively dedicated to stand-up as they are, it's because I'm not, and it's okay. It's
got to fit your responsibilities, what you have to do, what you value.
What are your goals, Josh?
My goals as far in life or in
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to say I want to be a huge movie producer and be filthy stinking rich.
Okay, well then I'll
stay
come
on
work.
vacation.
Okay, well I'll come act in your movies.
What is your goal?
My goal in general is to land some leading roles, to become more of a outgoing, or not outgoing, but a noticeable actor.
Become like a busy working actor.
Yeah, like where you can make a living doing it, because I still have my day job, of course. So I'd like to be able to make a living doing it. I very much have a passion for the craft. I enjoy any opportunity I get, even if it's something small, because again, I've said numerous times, is knowledge is power. So I specifically learn from everything and anything I do, and so I take that into my next adventure, or audition, or whatever the case may be, and I attempt to, put one foot in front of the other. I mean, that's how I do it. Ultimately, going back to what Eric was saying about having a plan, I guess my immediate plan, as far as long-term plan, is to, land some more roles, and perfect my craft. I mean, I don't expect to be a.
Hold on a second. I'm getting a text message. It's from Eric. I'm doing the podcast.
Are you being a smartass?
Talk to you afterwards.
Are you being a smartass Are you being a smartass?
No. You just sent me a message, so I was responding to it. Anyway.
You know what? Now for that, I'm gonna send you a message for fucking real.
No, do it. Stay in your phone. It's good. It's good for the show.
Hey, hold on. Listen, I'm being courteous. I'm being courteous by not interrupting Josh, because here's the thing: when you ask Josh a question, you're gonna get a 10 fucking minute answer, hypothetically, about his feelings.
We were just saying last show that we were gonna start teasing you for being on your phone. So that was the first wave of that, and it's gonna get worse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not only am I texting, but I'm also tweeting out for the podcast. I'm doing stuff for the podcast, which, by the way, I had to talk with Josh about this the other day. I don't ever see any tweets or text messages or Facebook posts from either one of you guys.
Hey, I share all our Facebook posts.
I don't ever see it. How about you, Danger?
What are you talking about? I just did the Focus Podcast link right here on our page. All like, hey guys, check out the Focus Podcast going live in just a minute. I do all this stuff, man. I set up this shit, What about...
No, I would listen. In all fairness, I will give major credit. I will say this. Danger works tirelessly to make sure that you see us, to make sure that we have everything set up with our mics. I can't say that I appreciate that enough. I will say this, though. Be
I get
prepared.
it on SoundCloud. I get it on YouTube.
Be,
you know,
You haven't gotten it on iTunes yet, right, Josh? Josh, speak right now. Speak, Josh.
I
Josh,
know.
speak.
I want more than like 6 followers on my Twitter.
Well, and how
Instagram.
you do that is by posting and reposting.
Hey,
and
I-
I told you to speak on him having it on iTunes. I didn't say to speak on your Twitter. I said
You said speak. You didn't say specifics. Remember, you got to be specific with me. Remember?
Okay.
You're the one who brings it up.
So
I'm
the other
just
day,
telling you.
Danger, Josh starts grilling me. How come we're not
No,
on iTunes?
I didn't grill you.
He
I
did.
asked
He
you.
said, how come we don't have it on iTunes?
I
I
asked.
said, ask Danger.
I can't figure out.
I don't know. For those of you who know iTunes
Please
specifically,
call us. Please email us at the Focus Podcast.
yeah,
and tell
inform
us
us
how
because
to do
we've
it.
been working on getting it on, and I have, me, the expert at IT work over here.
And it's bad for your confidence when you try to get it on and you can't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know?
All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand here. So today's episode, we're talking about motivation, and we're talking about being aggressive towards your dreams and aggressive towards your goals, and not only teaching your kids. Josh doesn't have any kids, but teaching your kids, how to win and how to be successful and how to work hard, and by way of that, helping each other. You know what I mean? Teaching each other things that we need to learn. Right?
Without a doubt. Without a
I mean,
doubt.
I think the most important thing is that you hear a lot of people, and you see a lot of people fighting for their dreams. And let me ask you guys this: has there ever come a point where you feel like you're like stagnant? You're like, fuck, I've just hit this plateau, and I just cannot get past that. Has that ever happened?
Yeah.
Like where you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I can't. Like I've tweeted out, I've Instagrammed, I'm on social media nonstop. I'm working. I'm doing independent shoots. I'm running sound. I'm I'm auditioning for everything I can, and nothing seems to be happening. Right? How does that? I mean, how do you get through that? How do you guys work through that?
Well, I can speak for myself. Fortunately for me, is I don't value myself for those accomplishments. I mean, I by all means, I'm very passionate about it and I want to do it. But if I don't get it, I mean, es vida, it's life. It's like I don't have what I value, what holds me to the ground, what holds me in my happiness and don't let me get depressed or anything else is my family. Like,
Yeah, being a good person and staying connected with people you care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so it doesn't really matter if you get that big acting gig or not. 'Cause
Right.
you're content where you are down here. There's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah,
You know,
of course. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still feel the, the hurt or the, damn, I wanted that or I wanted to do that. But at least for me, in my case, I don't. Well, I didn't get it. No big deal. I'm still.
So you just take the more nonchalant type of approach, like, well, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I mean, it sucks not to get it, but if I don't get it, then it's not the end of the world. I can do something else.
Well, no, it's not that I say I can move on and do something else. I'm very passionate about what I do, but what I'm saying is it doesn't. If I don't get the part, I don't stay in at night and cry in my bed. Like, I mean, I'm productive. I go to the gym. I have other responsibilities. I work. I take care of my family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not. It doesn't run my life.
It doesn't consume you.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
have the same like insatiable, chronic, unhappy, like obsessive ambition that
Right.
some people have. Some people that I know have.
Who would that be, Danger?
Well, you're an example of one.
Really?
You have a fixation on your success, and I can't say that I don't for myself, for sure. I think it's just varying degrees with everybody.
And what do you think my degree is?
Pretty extreme. Here's an interesting question. What would your position be if we started shooting Money is King like in a month, but for like the $30,000 that was originally planned to shoot it for? No longer $3 million. No bells and whistles.
That's a good question.
We redid the script so that we got rid of all those speaking roles and made it a really easy shootable indie film. We shot it for extremely low budget. Next month, would you still want to be attached to it in the same respect?
Oh yeah,
Or do you
100%.
wanna direct
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Here's the thing. I feel like this, and my thing is this: we've set a budget, but we like to meet that goal 100%. Do I want to get the project done? Yes. But here's what I don't want. When you when you start lowering your value, and this happens all the time, even in life, and I think you both will understand when I say this. When you start lowering your value, it's like you're saying, well, you know, I wasn't good enough to get that, so I'll settle for this, and well, I'm not even good enough for that. Hold on, I'll settle for this, or I'll settle for this. It doesn't mean I won't give, or it doesn't mean we won't give 100% to that project. But when you start dissipating the value, now you start taking away all the things that made the movie what it really was anyway.
It might be more complicated than that too.
You know
Like
what I
you've seen the movie 8 Mile. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies about kind of this topic I've ever
Right.
seen. It's like you meet B. Rabbit at the beginning. He's
do
obsessed
agree
with
with what you
getting
said,
a
though.
record contract. That's he's going to make it big. He's going to get out of this town,
Right.
get a record contract.
Right.
But at the end of the movie, he's brought himself down here, and the point becomes in the end, win this battle.
Right.
Like fight this battle and
Right.
win this battle.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's almost about this arc of this man. Like there's that funny scene in the movie where he's dropping off his friend or he's getting dropped off in the morning for work, and he's like, "Hey man, you ever get to the point where you stop living up here and you start living down here?" And it's kind of like a caricaturization of that arc that he's
Right.
experiencing. But he really does do. He like brings his goal way down here to this battle. You win this battle.
Right.
You know, you fight it and you win it.
Right.
And it kind of put things into context, like like a Master Yoda kind of thing. Like,
Right.
Like a Jedi doesn't think about yesterday or tomorrow. A Jedi is right here,
Right
now. You know.
I mean, listen, I still think we could shoot a great movie. Now, would we lose 90% of the people who were, you know, on board? Absolutely. And I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad at that. I understand, you know, people need to make a living and people want to get paid and people want to, you know, but you have to find a certain amount of people around you who are so maniacally driven like you are. And I feel like if we were able to do that and we could get that team together, we could easily shoot the movie. We could shoot the movie for free and we could get it done. You know what I mean? Like we could get it done. I mean, the budget wouldn't matter. I mean, we could make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day for everybody. You know what I mean? It wouldn't matter. You just get the movie done. I believe enough in the movie that I feel like at any level we could get this project done and it would sell. But here's the point. My point is that, you know, we created this budget for a reason, and it wasn't just a number that we threw out there. It was a number that it was thought about, and we talked about, and we organized ourselves around. We organized ourselves around a $200,000 budget. We organized ourselves around a $50,000 budget, a $100,000 budget. We can do that, but how much more of the meat of the story do we have to cut off? You know, it's almost like at that point it becomes cutting your nose to spite your face, because you're just like, man, I'm so maniacal about getting this project done. I'll literally do it for nothing just so that I can try. But here's the thing, we do all that work, and because we've taken out all the meat and all the substance in the film just to get it done for that price, now it's not going to get distributed. Now it's not going to get sold. Now we just did we did a high grade music video is what we did, and then we could put it on YouTube and just hope that someone will see it. I mean, there's a lot of hopes and dreams in that. When you have a budget, you know, I believe in the whistleblowers the same way. I would do the whistleblowers. If you came to me and said, Eric, we got $50,000. I decided to scrap all the other budgets. I got $50,000. Let's do the movie. I'm on board 100%. You came to me and said, hey, I rounded up 50 crew members that'll work for free for 18 days. Can we shoot the movie in 18 days? I mean, would it be nice, you know, because here's the difference between having those different levels of degrees of motivation and sacrifice. And it sucks. And I feel you, because I am that person, and sometimes I hate myself for it, because I feel like I've sacrificed so much and I've let go of so many things that I probably should have done to put myself in a better position, because I'm so focused on that type of success. I really feel like, but you know, I think that in order to have that type of success, you have to have that manic belief in yourself. You can't go into this halfway. You know, you can't. It's like I heard Ray Lewis say one time, who, you guys know who Ray Lewis is, right? Played for the Baltimore Ravens, one of the greatest linebackers to ever play the game, and I mean ever. And I heard Ray Lewis say one time, if you're going to play this game and you're afraid to hit or get hit, you're going to get hurt. You have to throw yourself into a tackle at 200%. You have to throw yourself into it. He said, I've seen players get out in the field and get ready for collision, and then they brace or they hold back, or they, you know what I mean? And then they end up getting hurt. Ray Lewis tore his tricep muscle in half in a game where his arm was dangling. And it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen.
You've seen it. His arm was dangling. And he wouldn't fucking quit. He wouldn't quit. And the doctors on the sidelines told him, you're going to lose this isn't just about you losing the game. You're going to lose your arm. The whole thing was dangling like that, huh? He was tackling. And it was.
I saw the game.
And the running back danger. If Ray Lewis hadn't have tackled him and thrown his body at this guy the way he did, this guy had open field, huh? That play right there could have won the other team the game. And Ray Lewis tackled him with one arm and just threw his whole body into it. And was like, fuck it, I'm not.
That's somebody who's focused with one goal.
One goal.
That's true.
And that's to win. And there's no other. Listen, when I feel like when you give yourself plan B's and plan C's and plan D's and give yourself that safety net, are you really giving it your all?
Right.
When you start giving yourself, when you look back and go, oh, well, you know, I could do this, but then I don't want to do that. Just like you said with this tour, I'm kind of 50-50 about that. If you had an opportunity to do Whistleblowers, but yet you could make a little money, and it's still your project, but you had a chance to go out on tour with Louis C.K. and be seen by millions and millions of people, which, listen, when you're at that volume of publicity, and I firmly believe this, and I know it to be true because everybody that's successful in this business has said it. When your stock value raises in this business, people know who you are. When your publicity raises, so does your stock value, which means you're now making money. Yeah. So if you went out on tour, a world tour with Louis C.K., I guarantee you, Danger, not even a quarter way into that tour, you'd be signed. You'd be getting you would be getting booked from everybody else in the world. You'd have so much publicity that
it'd be easier to get the funding for the Whistleblowers, and I wouldn't actually have to choose.
Right. Well, I mean, but we're just saying.
That's true.
But we're just saying, like, if we're talking about those levels of dreams, right? You know, I think it's so hard sometimes because I think a lot of us, we put our own limitations on the things that we start thinking reasonable. And I say this all the time, don't be reasonable. I tell kids all the time, don't be reasonable with your dreams. Don't be reasonable. Reasonable people are, they're too afraid to make a mistake. They can't handle rejection very well. They methodically think everything out. They almost talk themselves out of their dreams, right? They talk themselves out of their goals. Yeah. So don't be reasonable with yourself, but like I said, to answer your question, yeah, I would totally do Money is King for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
I think because here, I just believe. I believe in the product. I believe in the people. I believe in the movies. The projects that we've talked about. Money is King. And the plan for me still is that. We get Money is King out the gate. As a director, producer, if I get Money is King out the gate, that opens the floodgates for everything else. Money won't be the problem anymore. We could take what we've made, reinvest into Whistleblowers. We could get distribution like that. We could do the things that we want to do. After Whistleblowers, we do Quentin's movie, Wild Minds. And then we, with the plan that we had in place. Those plans haven't dissipated. Those things haven't gone away. And I think a lot of people, when they hit stumbling blocks, I mean, you see it now. I mean, let's just be honest about it. All the people that were on board in the beginning, they're nowhere to be found right now.
That's true.
They're nowhere to be found
That's
right
true.
now. Guess what? We get some money in the bank, or when we start the project, even if we do it independently, really truly independently, guaranteed the phones start ringing again. Then everybody wants to come around again. Mm-hmm. And I get it. That's just the opium of the masses. That's just how people are. You know what I mean? When shit goes array and people are like, they were on the fence anyway. We kind of knew it wasn't going to happen, but we were hoping it would. But if they they already said I could be a part of it, so when it does happen, I'll come back around. But maybe, it's kind of that being on the fence type of shit. And guess what? I said this before. When your phone doesn't ring, don't be pissed, right? Mm-hmm. Don't be upset.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get a lot of local actors, writers, comedians involved in sketchy TV, mm-hmm. and it's been like pulling teeth. Mm-hmm. Like I can't get people on board to help me.
Right?
It's just like dragging.
And why?
Because they don't believe in anything. They don't think it's possible. Right. They think you're full of shit.
Right.
They're like, show me.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I've launched a channel, we have 4 videos up, and people see that they're high quality, well thought out, well done sketch
mm-hmm.
comedy.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I'm getting hit up. Now all of a sudden people want to talk to me at the show. When before I was like, no one wants to come up and say hi to me at the comedy show except for these 3 people. Now everybody's like, hey, we should do a sketch comedy together.
Right.
Like, where the fuck were you a minute ago?
Exactly.
Except, my attitude hasn't changed. I'm still happy to have them. I understand.
Right.
I completely understand.
Yeah. Even as an actor, it's so hard sometimes to decipher like the projects that you should be doing or shouldn't be doing or you want to do and you don't know if you should, right? I got asked to do this CW commercial that we're going to be doing here pretty soon, and you know, I asked some friends. It's going to be like a James Bondish type of commercial where it's a car chase, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's for it's for a friend of mine's automotive center. It's going to be a lot of fun. The people that I asked, is there pay? I mean, bro, you're not doing anything anyway.
Right.
You're not doing anything. You haven't had a paid job in 6 months. I mean, here's an opportunity, another opportunity to get in front of the camera.
But you have to understand too, with these local film workers, not necessarily the actors. I don't have as much tolerance for actors insisting on pay as I do for crew for some reason. That's my bias. I feel like I almost have that shark producers mentality where like, well, an actor should be happy that they're in something.
Right.
Because no one here is going anywhere. And they should just be happy to show up and be in something.
Right.
And but the film crew, it's not the same.
No.
They're not in something. They're not going to get a job afterwards for helping you for free.
Right.
And it's like, so I understand that more because people are constantly trying to take advantage of that. Hey, come run sound on my thing. Come run camera on my thing. Well, am I just like showing up for hours and hours at your whim and doing whatever you say for nothing?
Right.
Because I don't get, what is this, a YouTube video? Am I going to get credit? What is this?
Right.
Because
Right.
most 9 times out of 10 they won't.
Right.
Or it's a broken up shoot and they're just there for a couple days and there's like no incentive whatsoever for them
Right.
to be involved. So
Right.
that's why I understand when they ask if there's pay.
Yeah.
And I don't so much when actors. Or when I'm working on another feature after rerun with the same group of people, and I just met with the director, and he wants to pay all the actors, and he doesn't have anything budgeted for the crew. And I'm like, well, it should be the other way around,
Right.
in my opinion. Maybe that's like a ridiculous bias. I'm telling 2 actors.
No, but
They
listen,
don't-
I'm
they
a
don't
director.
deserve to be
I'm a
paid as
director.
much as
I'm
crew.
a director and a producer, and I can tell you, like,
No,
that's-
I understand that.
I would agree with the same thing, like, because here's the thing.
The
I feel
actor's
like
really getting something out of just having their face in it.
Absolutely.
Having the opportunity.
Absolutely.
To,
yeah, and I mean, and it's funny because, and I do get it. I mean, there's a lot of actors here, and I think it's a great thing where they've earned their SAG card. They're now union, and a lot of people back in the day, it was like there was just no way you could be union. Out here, it just wasn't even feasible because there wasn't enough projects. Now there's projects. They've given actors a chance. There's actors out here that are union now that are getting those opportunities, and I mean. So I get it when you approach some of these actors who are union and you say, hey, can you volunteer your time, or this is no pay? And it's like, it's not just...
Well, there's a difference there. I would never
Yeah.
approach a SAG actor and ask them to work for free.
Right.
I mean, unless I like had a new media contract in my hands.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
otherwise I wouldn't even,
Yeah.
because that's a
well, maybe
different
that's
thing.
why, you know what, maybe that's why I'm not getting asked to do
Yeah.
all these really cool projects.
Because you're in
that I see.
SAG and
Yeah.
you have a clout where people are like, oh, well, you're not really supposed to do that. You
Right.
can't really beg, come running to a union worker with your hands out begging,
Right.
It's not appropriate.
Right.
Because like you can, there's the assumption that they have better things to do, or
And-
let's say they have a small budget, like something like a rerun, which is like 90% guerrilla shooting.
Right.
Like as me as a producer, I think it is 100% inappropriate to have a SAG actor on set being somewhere where they're not supposed to be. Like guerrilla shooter. It's just real quick at a bus stop. No, we're gonna get you down here, real quick. And I'm just like, oh god, this is so bad. Like we can't be doing this. Like even if the SAG actor has vocally expressed that they're going along with it, it still just seems so dirty and wrong and bad. Like
Yeah.
So it's like I feel a lot more comfortable asking a non SAG actor to do whatever for free anywhere.
Well, but the thing is too, I mean, I feel like and you're absolutely right. With an actor, you get an opportunity to be seen in something. So they're getting something out of the project no matter what,
But at the same time, like the higher respect comes with more responsibility. Because on this movie we were shooting in November, Fender Bender, this horror movie, we got a certain actor out of New York City to fly out. And when I was the production coordinator on that film, I was coordinating all the travel with his agent. And I was like, okay, so the car's going to be there, pick him at like 5:30 in the morning, take him to LaGuardia. And she's like, wait. Bill is not getting up before 5 in the morning to catch a cab. He's like, and I thought, he's a fucking union worker. They have union workers doing all kinds of other shit all over the country, and they don't say shit when they ask to show up at work in the morning. They
Right.
go, they get their pension, their paycheck, and they're professional. And if someone mistreats them at workplace, they tell their union rep, and they're fucking on it. But then I get this bullshit from this non-SAG actor agent on behalf of a union worker who's telling me that they can't show up for work when I ask them to.
Right.
You know, I don't care if I'm just a production coordinator. I asked you to be picked up by a car at 5 a.m.
Right.
You know, and I thought that was so unacceptable to be told that a SAG actor can't show up for a ride to the airport to get paid $10,000 to shoot a fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know, when they don't have anything else lined up either. The same thing applies to non-union actors as it does to, they don't have work stacked up unless they're, you know, unless they're in it right now, unless
Right.
they're hot shit.
Right.
Otherwise, they're begging, you know, like fucking Pauly Shore is out there in Hollywood right now. Like, please, you have something for me? You know, like everyone knows who he is, but no one wants him in their shit.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter. You know, like I just think that's so ridiculous to have that. Like, so it goes the same way. Like if you do make that leap and you go union, you have SAG actors on set, you expect shit from them that you
Right.
don't expect from a non-union worker.
Well, and there, I think,
And you
and I
should be
think those
prepared for them to
expectations,
expect shit from
but I
them.
think those expectations go both ways, you know, because let's be honest. I mean, you know, being a SAG actor, you know, I mean, I know for me, it took me a long time to get my SAG card, and when I finally got it, I was like, oh, I'm finally, I did it. You know what I mean? And I feel like as an actor, if I'm on something that's independent, you know, or a SAG New Media or something like that, that's a little bit, you know, production-wise lower level, you know, not that I don't believe in the projects that I do, excuse me, but I feel like if I'm in these projects, I feel like should be a certain level of respect that goes both ways. You know, don't treat me like,
Don't have me standing around on set forever with
Yeah,
nothing going
don't
on.
don't-
dismiss me or put me in the shot. You know,
Right.
if I'm
You know?
hungry, if you let me go to the bathroom, simple
yeah,
stuff like that.
like don't expect, you know, don't have me show up to help you because what my name value brings, and then you don't even have water for me. You don't have, and it's hard because you don't want to be bougie. And I think for me, like that's the hardest part. Like I'm never
I like that bougie.
I'm never bougie. I really am not. I've never been that way with anybody. I mean, even as a director, I'm not bougie. I go on set and I treat everybody with respect, and I treat everybody kindly, and I treat everybody because I've been on both sides of that spectrum. You know, I know what it's like to be an extra and not have anybody talk to you. You know, hell, I've been on set as a director and talked to grip people that are like they shiver because they've been on so many sets where they're not allowed to smile, they're not allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Light guys, grip, you know, gaffers.
Getting dismissed because they're not wearing their sunglasses while running a boom pole.
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
ridiculous shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, what's good? You good? You having a good day? Like, that's just who I am. But as an actor, I feel the same way. But there is a certain level of respect. And, you know, I've had some people tell me, Eric, you know, I think you're way too nice sometimes with everybody. And you allow too many people to use your time that shouldn't get to use your time. You know, at this point, you've earned the right to be a little choosy on the things you want and the things you expect and the things that you can and can't do. But I feel like this, my success, my mind won't let me get out of the mindset of I'm so driven to success that I will jump in full force and head on to anything that will help, you know, something be bigger or help something get exposure. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, like, and I hear so many stories out there, and I've seen so many instances of this happening. I mean, even like, look at, you know, Kevin Hart, you know, Kevin Hart's a perfect example of that. I mean, you know, for the past 2 years, can't turn on the TV, the radio, you can't get on social media without seeing him on something, you know, and there are a lot of other comedians that have called him out about it. Like, oh, you're a sellout, you're this, you're that, you know, you're a fame whore, you're a media whore. Well, hey, you know, the guy has $500 million in the bank.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can laugh all the way to the bank because
Exactly.
I mean, he's at the end of the day, he's not doing it for other people. He's doing it for his family and for his
Right.
success. I mean, I don't fault somebody for that at all. I mean, I think that's what everybody's goal in life, regardless of what they say. Everybody wants to achieve more success. Now, how you get there, if you're shitty to people and stepping on people trying to get there, I don't agree with that. But
Well, he could be doing it because he thinks an invisible rabbit told him to. It doesn't matter. Like, haters are gonna fucking hate on you the
Right.
second you get any recognition.
that's
Right.
true.
That's right. That's absolutely
It's
right.
their job, man. It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's
Well, you know, if you don't,
I love when I get hate so much. Like when I actually hear that someone was being like, "Oh, fucking danger," I'm like, "Yes!"
Yes.
you're like, I got one.
Love
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
So
if
exciting.
you don't have people talking about you, you're not doing things right. You know what I mean? Because I mean, everybody always wants what somebody else has. You know. So I mean, I think that's you know, in their best interest to just stay focused on what you're doing and try to try to weed out, you know, your non friends or non people that are going to support you. You know, I mean,
Well, okay, then let me ask you this: how do you guys feel? How do you feel about that whole, like, for example, what's his name? Played football for the Steelers. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Harrison, who made a big old stink and took the trophies back. You know, his kids got participation trophies.
Oh, okay. I don't think you were, but
And he took the trophies and put them back on the coach's front porch. It was like, my kids didn't earn this shit. Like,
Wow.
you're not giving my kids participation trophies. They didn't earn this, and I'm not, you know. And he made his kids.
if I can play devil's advocate, I understand where that movement came from. Psychological studies in the last 20, 25 years suggest that among children like 6 years old, 9 years old and younger,
Yeah.
benefit more in the long run from positive reinforcement than negative reinforcement. For instance, even if it's not a game, if it's just discipline in the house.
Right.
If you only notice when they're fucking up and you don't encourage them when they're doing well. Same thing goes for dog training. If you only discipline your dog and you never encourage them, you're going to fuck them up.
Right.
And you're going to have like a sheepish dog with his tail between his legs that are like, oh, you know, and you
Right.
like ruin their confidence and you ruin their ability to thrive without you putting your foot up their ass.
Right.
And so I can understand that, like, and there's been some work done with children where we're showing that in the house, in school, like they really respond well and it builds their confidence in the early years to encourage them as often as possible when they do well.
Right.
So I think the giving everyone trophies is like, thanks for trying, good job everyone, because they're so young it doesn't fucking matter. But by the time you get up into competing ages like you know, puberty age and after,
Yeah.
it's time for real world.
Right.
And you get real. And that's how our society is based. It's like by the time you get that age, we stop giving trophies to everyone.
Right.
We're starting to respect more of that kind of stuff. Like when Andres is in middle school and high school, it's going to be different. You
Yeah.
know, there's not going to be all these little participation trophies.
Right.
But they do it for the kids because I think it keeps them coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And they make sure that they keep coming back to wrestle. Because if they never win a trophy and they've been doing it for 4 years because the other kids are just fucking better,
Yeah.
then they're going to quit and they're going to feel bad, or they're going to be forced to do it and feel bad about themselves.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
so like I understand that, as long as you have a dialogue about it.
Yeah.
You know, like if your kid wins a participation trophy, you're like, hey, you know, someday it's not going to be like this. You
Yeah.
know, like.
Yeah, and I wish
But
I.
at the same time, encourage them and be
dialogue's
proud.
huge. Dialogue's huge. I mean, you have to clarify things. I mean, if you don't explain that you're not getting this trophy because you're winning, you're getting because, you know, we're proud of you that you played. You know,
Yeah.
I agree.
And give them the time to fill their goals out themselves a little bit, so that because maybe some kid who's not winning a bunch of trophies, maybe he shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
absolutely,
And-
absolutely. I mean, I grew up like that. I grew up with, you know, I got spankings, and you know, and of course, I grew up in the era where we didn't get trophies unless we won. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I definitely know. I mean, at least I believe that I'm turned out pretty normal and know how to compete and know
You're pretty
when it's-
normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
you're
normal.
right.
Yeah, I don't know, but so I've been told. You know.
Hold on,
What are you looking up?
I'm trying to look up Andy Frisella. I wish I could find that one where he's talking about the trophies. I just wanted you guys to hear it. But anyway, so you know, I think that I think with the success of, or with how people view success today and how people view their own successes and their own motivation to go out and be successful, you're right. I think everybody has different levels of that.
But it also goes in contrast because I have a very firm belief with the way that I'm raising my daughter that I'm like kind of arrogant in this belief that I think most people are doing it wrong. I think most people in the West now, it wasn't so much in the ancient times and it's not so much in the East it seems, but in the West we have established a separate society for our children. Minors are a different class of citizen. There's rich people, there's poor people, and then there's kids. They don't have any rights. They don't get to decide where they do, what to say. They're just like chronically disrespected and mistreated by their parents because they're subordinates and they don't deserve to have a say and they don't deserve to have an equal footing in the household. That's not to say that they're still not little morons, you know, that they don't know anything and they think they do and they should be treated, you know, accordingly with the right amount of. But it's more like, again, with dog training. It's like you just have to you know better,
Right.
you know, and I think it's important for us to start raising our children to be adults. From the moment they can start speaking, teach them what adults are, what they do, have them around adults, I think the institution
I
of
agree
public
with that.
school where our children are around like 20 to 30 kids their same age all day long every day is really unhealthy, and it holds them back. It makes them more immature. I think about hunter-gatherers like a nice Apache family running around ancient America. You know, like the second your son was old enough to stand and talk, you start raising him to replace yourself. You teach him everything that he needs to know about what it is to be an Apache warrior, because it is absolutely fundamental to his survival.
So let me
And
ask
now
you
that's
this.
gone. Now it's like we raise our kids to be kids, and then they turn 18. They're like, no, be a grown up. And they're like, I don't know how to fucking do my laundry, and I have like crazy expectations about life.
That's
Right.
that's kind of true. I mean, I definitely agree with that.
I mean, you had the benefit of having a strict upbringing. You should be extremely happy you do, because a lot of these kids, I was just, you know, like you go visit a public school and you see like the reality.
You know
of what's
what blows
happening.
my mind?
Oh, it's crazy.
The
Yeah.
lack
I mean, everyone talks, but I mean, I'm not saying you have to be little soldiers growing up, but what blows my mind is when you see these kids saying "fuck you, mom," or
that's
I mean, outrageous stuff. It's not just disrespectful, like I heard I was at Burger King.
Oh, no,
and
yeah, listen, I know. I hear it all the time.
And who does like that? That absolutely blows my mind.
I feel like a lot of that happens because a lot of these lesser educated, lower income people, they're growing up, they're in this society, look around them, they see the fact that we've established a world where there's a separate caste system for kids, and they don't know the rules for that. They're trying to figure them out, and they're like, okay, well, I could treat my kid like shit or like this because they're a kid, or I can lie to them or keep things for them or shelter them or whatever I'm doing, or but then I don't hold them to the same standards. Like, you would never let your roommate, like one of our rules with Charlene is like, we kind of like try to remember that Avi is also our roommate. She's a human being that lives in our house, and she deserves respect, and she has rights.
Well, that
to
makes
privacy
sense.
And
That-
to having an opinion and not being disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Eric's rolling his eyes.
I'm just saying, what happens when that what happens when that backfires on
Well,
you?
it's working. Like, for instance, swearing. The rule with swearing in the house is, I've told her explicitly, she's allowed to say whatever word she wants to. That's fine. But, man, she doesn't. She doesn't at all. She never curses. You know, she understands they're bad. But I never said don't say those words ever.
Right.
There's 2 words that she is not allowed to ever say, and we've explained that to her.
Right.
But
What are these words?
the N word and the F word.
Yeah.
Nighttime and fire truck?
The FAGGOT word.
Oh,
and the NIGGER word.
Oh, okay, all right.
But fuck shit. You know, anything else is like you use it at discretion. If you're alone with your friends, you can be a potty mouth kid, but remember that everyone else is gonna see you as a potty mouth kid.
Right.
And you can say this word, but if you say it around your grandpa, he's gonna think that you're not as good of a person, and that light in his eyes when he sees you is gonna fade a little bit.
Right.
And so don't want to be disrespectful around old people. You don't curse in front of your teachers or instructors or family members.
So
But
let me
if you're because when I was a kid,
that's pretty impressive.
kids cursed anyway when they were around each other.
Right,
and
right,
the kids-
right,
So
right.
it's like just whatever. I'm going to give her the respect that she can make her own decisions, but teach her the guidelines and teach her what swearing is, and teach her that these is like you can say whatever because it's free speech. Don't ever say these 2 words ever. But and we explain why, because they're the only swear words that are based out of hatred and aren't like fun and able to use it in a fun way.
Right.
And she doesn't. She has a very high esteem about swearing. She doesn't say it. She says S word. Oh my God, you just said the F word. And she still respects it the same way a kid would if you had said I'm not. But I removed the taboo. There's no more taboo. She can say it whenever she wants to.
Yeah.
That's
If we're watching a show together, she can be like, oh,
It's kind of like the
this is
Osbournes. Kind of like the Osbournes.
I guess so.
Because those kids were swearing from the time they came out of the womb.
Except I think that they were never instructed that it's impolite to constantly swear. I don't think they were given that lesson.
So you're telling your daughter you can swear, but there's a way.
But there are rules.
There are rules.
You teach her the same rules that adults live by. You
Right.
don't just run around cussing because people think you're a moron. Like that's the rules that adults live by. And
Right.
and as far as like kids saying "fuck you" to your parent, that's like a reaction of them being treated as a separate class of citizen. Their parents don't know how the rules apply, so like, oh, he can get away with it. No, he can't. Your roommate, you wouldn't let your roommate sit there and cuss you out. You'd be like, fuck you, get the fuck out of my house. You wouldn't let them talk to you like that.
Right.
Get your shit out of the living room. But when I come in the living room, there's shit everywhere. Get your shit out of here.
Yeah,
And
that
they're like,
makes
fuck,
sense.
sorry, man. Like treat them like an equal, like a normal human being. Then by the time they're adults, I'm assuming she'll be a more functional human being than half these brats out here who were raised with absolutely no.
there's a lot of
boundaries.
sense to that. There is a lot. Of
And
sense
I
to
agree, there is. But let me ask you this: how do you approach? Because I approach with my kids when it comes to goals and dreams, and when I see it, more so Andres now because he's a little bit older, and you know when he's competing on wrestling and when he's competing in boxing, like you know I relate a lot of that in my own life. I relate that to real life because real life is a fight. I mean, it's a fight. You know, you're not, you know, you can't just lay down because something hurts. You can't just quit because you feel like you're not strong enough. You have to fight through everything.
Yeah.
How do you teach your daughter? I mean, or what are you going to teach your daughter about that? About seeing something that she wants, like a goal. If she has a goal, like no matter what, go get it. Like don't let anything or anybody keep you from wanting to achieve that goal.
Well, since she's so young, her goals change constantly. I remember when I was her age, like when I was like 5 and 6, I was like, I'm going to be Spider-Man someday. Mm-hmm. And that was also a byproduct of my dad not having a lot of time and to spend with me, and also being so conservative that he was unable to treat me like an equal human being. I was I was like a down here, seen and not heard. That's the way I was raised.
Right.
And so, you know, I changed. I want to be a paleontologist. I want to be Spider-Man. I want to be a Ninja Turtle. And it's like, whatever, it didn't matter. But every time a V comes to me with something like that, if she wants to be a beautiful princess Batgirl with a yellow cape, I'm like, absolutely, let's go start looking for a cape right now. You know, let's do it. And it's going to change because she's so young.
Yeah, you know that's
But
not
as soon as she has
realistic.
something that she really likes to do, like she enjoys playing the drums a little bit, she's really getting interested in watching me edit movies. And I'm like, so I let her spend time with me doing the things that I do.
Right.
So she can kind of feel out what she's interested in and things like that.
Well, that's very intelligent.
When she started doing ballet, tap, and jazz dance, she had a visceral reaction to it at first. She's like, I don't like it. I don't want to go. And we're like, well, we paid for your classes.
Right.
You're not allowed to jip us because you said you wanted to go when we paid for it. So you have to finish up this term. But when this term is over, when the money's up, you don't have to do anymore. But you have to do something else. You
Right.
can't do nothing. It's like, we can try piano playing. We're going to keep going until you find something you like.
good.
Right.
And if you want to go back, and she did. We did all the dancing. She wanted to give it up. The term was up. So we did some other things. We did rock climbing and other things. And she wanted to go back to dance. So we did.
Right.
Except this time the term is longer. Since you made us go back to dance, now you have to do it for a while
Yeah.
longer.
Mm-hmm.
And before you're allowed to quit. But I don't want to tell her she's not allowed to change her mind and do something else.
Right.
Just not allowed to
Yeah.
Well,
just quit. Yeah.
I feel like I'll have that same opinion until she's an adult. Let's say she calls me when she's in college. She's like, Dad, you know, I'm my third year in college for my biomechanics degree, and I think
Right.
I just want to be in the circus or something.
Well,
I'll
the
be
thing
like,
is,
that's whatever you want to do. You know,
Right.
it's fine. But
Yeah.
but I'll always encourage her to like think about it, make sure she's positive. But from my experience, I was always very flighty and creative, and I never knew what I was wanting to do. Even now, I'm like, you know, every time I hit a wall with comedy, then I switch gears and I throw myself into movies for a while until that kind of, maybe the momentum dies down.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll switch back it up to something else. And I'm assuming she'll be similar. So
Yeah.
I don't want to teach her that, like, you know, it's not like creating a rule that quitting isn't unacceptable is kind of weird because it's unrealistic. People quit all the time, every day, for all different reasons.
Well, I think it's only unrealistic. I think it's only unrealistic because most of society has taught you, and most of history has taught you that quitting is acceptable and it's okay.
I mean,
That's the
because
only
it's-
reason. That's the only way. I mean, that's the only reason why it's not realistic. I mean, listen, not quitting is very realistic. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who haven't quit at what they've wanted,
Yeah.
and they're very
I
successful
would
at it
still
today.
be absolute sure that I explained to her, and we do all the time, that like, well, it's okay if you want to change your mind and do
Yeah.
something else.
Right.
I can't stress enough how much it saves me time and again. I said, if every time I got discouraged doing stand up because the show didn't go well, or maybe some other comics were, you know, being unfriendly at a show or something, if I quit, then I wouldn't be doing the Los Alamos show that I did last night. I wouldn't be doing these shows in Santa Fe and planning
Right.
these tours, and I wouldn't
Right.
be doing all this. And I'm so happy to do that, and I had to get through all that crap first, the stuff that I didn't really enjoy.
Right.
And so, you know, one of my biggest regrets in life is not having had my dad really deeply share his experiences with me in an honest way.
Right.
You know, it was like he was afraid that I would either take after him or I'd go down some path. He was a prodigal drummer. His dad was a prodigal drummer, and his dad was a prodigal. Generations of drumming. But I was kept away from it, and I didn't touch a drum set until I was 22, after I didn't have a relationship with my dad anymore, because he was afraid that I would get into rock and roll music and do drugs.
Huh.
And guess what? I did it anyway. You know, I did it anyway.
Right,
I smoked all the weed and I played all the drums, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm a good person.
Yeah.
You know, like, how dare you impose your own, like...
But that's your own judgment, right? That you're a good person.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely. You told me the other day, Josh. You said I was all right.
All right.
No, but I think you're absolutely
And I
right.
wish he would have told me that
Yeah,
stuff,
no, you're right.
especially about relationships and women. Maybe I was too young around then, but by the time I was 12, 13, you should be explaining like life to your son. Now that he's going through puberty, he's having these urges. Tell
You
him
know,
everything you know about women.
Let me tell you, it's so funny.
Tell them
that
what
you-
kind of women to stay away from, or your experiences, and be honest and share them, because so they can learn from them. Because I don't have any experiences from my dad that I could learn from.
Right.
Because I was kept away from them because they were potentially dangerous.
Right.
You know?
So you had to build
Which
that
is
on your own.
insane.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know?
I completely understand that.
So but drugs is a big one. We've already discussed drugs with her. She's 6 years old, and we've already talked all about drugs.
But see,
because there's
you
no
can't-
reason for her not to
you
know
can't-
facts.
No, you're absolutely correct.
know?
You can't, whether it's a child or a tree, you can't start telling her about drugs at 18 years old or 16 years old, because then,
No.
I mean, she has no care of what you say about it. I mean, if you teach them as they're growing, they take it into who they are. You know what I mean?
I mean, take the alcohol situation in Europe, for example. Binge drinking in the United States and Canada is absolutely, like, it's an epidemic.
Yeah, right.
Because alcohol is taboo. But in
But they
Europe,
drink it with-
especially
yep.
in Southern Europe, like Italy and Greece, where the culture
Absolutely.
is that, like, by the time they're 12 and 13, they're allowed to have a tiny flight with their dinner because they're
It's
teaching them how
normal.
to be an adult. You're
Exactly.
showing them by example.
Exactly.
You're allowing them to participate in adult-like activities with constraint so they can see what it's for. So that by the time that they're teenagers,
They're not.
there's no taboo, there's no mysticism around the drinking. Like, ooh, let's do it, like, you
Right.
know, like all the kids that I hung out in high school were like, oh my god, that's gone. You
Right.
remove it. You know, if you explain what pot is, and anytime if you're at a gathering or someone and Uncle Joe is smoking a doobie over this, like, yeah, oh, he's smoking some medicine over there. Explain what it is. Explain why she can't have any. Then it's fine. Then by the time she's older and everyone's smoking doobies around her, it's not like, ooh, let me try one. It's like she
Right.
already knows. She's probably a little disinterested in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but hold on. You made a statement earlier that I've been kind of thinking about, and you said that I'm a little extreme when it comes to my focus. What's that? What? Explain that. Explain that to me.
You're just an extraordinarily ambitious person. You know, if I could be completely frank, you can appreciate that. If I was a established, moneyed movie producer, executive producer, and let's say somebody like, I don't know, Terry McGinnis came to me and was like, hey, I got this great project out of Albuquerque. It's really great guys, really ambitious people, cool dudes. Can't wait to get you on the phone with them. I'll send you a script and the top sheet of the budget. And I'd be like, cool, you know? And I would get the top sheet of the budget, and I'd be reading the names, and I'd see executive pay for things, and then I'd see this big budget for this movie, this $3.2 million movie, and I'd start looking people up on IMDb, and I wouldn't find anybody. And I'd call Terry back, and I'd tell him to shove it up his ass, because why are you giving me a project with nobody's from nowhere asking me for so much money? Because it doesn't make sense. So it's like an ambitious thing to be like, to assume that even though you've never directed any feature-length movies before, that you will be handed $3.2 million to direct this one. When Sylvester Stallone took such an enormous executive pay cut when he made his first movie, Rocky.
Right.
The only reason he was allowed to direct it is because he told them they could pay him almost nothing.
Right.
It took like $10,000 or something
Yeah.
for the whole movie. And that was because they were like, oh, great script, we'll buy it from you, Stallone. Here's your option for the screenplay. And he's like, oh, you know, I want to direct it. You know, I want to direct a movie. And they're like, what? No, who are you? You were sleeping on a bench in New York with your dog last
Right.
week. No. But he's like, what if you pay me nothing? And they're like,
Right.
you know? And so I always thought that it would be like a more down-to-earth approach for Money is King when selling it to people like that, to remove all the executive pay off the top sheet, get rid of all the people that haven't done anything, and replace their names with people who have done things, or try to find even to, not to insult you, to find a director who has directed multiple features before and be like, let's sell this movie, let's get it done.
Right.
But not doing that and having a top sheet like the way that it was, I think is extraordinarily ambitious, almost foolhardy ambitious, you know, like, if that makes sense.
So, well, here's the thing, though. But you have to remember, in this day and age, like this isn't. We're not in the '70s anymore when Rocky was made.
No, yeah, this is the age of Boondock Saints, where
Well, yeah, and listen,
crazy
there are
person
first time
from Boston
there are
can't be given
first
that
time
budget.
there are first time directors all over the world doing movies and getting budgets for those movies.
That's true.
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, is it's not like, and I've said this from day one. It's not like I don't bring credibility to the table. You know, I mean, you know, my ability to bring the type of cast to this film, which is aided in people even having those conversations. Here's the thing. It's not like every single money person that we've talked to has all agreed to be a part of the film. It's just nobody wants to be the first money in. Not one person with the money has ever said, we don't know who your director is. Or Quentin Aaron hasn't really done a movie since The Blind Side. Or Debo's damn near 65 years old, and who cares about Friday? Like,
just to compare it, it wouldn't matter who the director is if you would shoot it for, like, if we had, as soon as the Kickstarter had failed, and we got on the phone with Ray Rice and it was cool and everything and things were moving, but it wasn't happening, you know, just shooting it for the $30,000 that you had access to, and then attaching Ray to pay for help pay for distribution and P&A and all these other things. Like, once you have a product, once you've directed the feature and it's provable, then that would be a more like down to that. That's probably what like I would have done, because I'm not as ambitious as you. I'm like, you know, I'm willing to switch between comedy and movie on a whim.
well, see, and that's the thing. I mean, look, Good Will Hunting is a perfect example. I mean, look at Ben and Damon, Matt Damon. I mean, you know, when they did Good Will Hunting, you know, they had shopped it to producers, they had shopped it to studios, everybody told them no. Everybody. They're like, you two, there's no way. First of all, you two are not going to be the leads in this movie. Neither one of you are credible. There's not a whole lot of background in either one of you. Plus, you guys are brand new producers, and you want to like co-direct this? No, it can't happen. Well, they, by way of their network, which is what I feel I have a really good attachment to. I have a great network. I have a really, really good network. Same thing with them. They got Robin Williams attached, and Robin helped get that movie done. And they didn't have to sacrifice they didn't have to sacrifice. And people said the same thing about them. They're like, this is way ambitious. It's almost fool's gold. Like, there's just no way it can be done. Well, we all know the result of that. They both won Oscars for that film. And the thing is absolutely, would I love for Money is King to be that type of film? Absolutely. But I still believe in the story. I believe in the credibility of the film. I believe in the branding that we've done. I believe in all the steps that we've taken. And as a result of the timeline, when you look at the timeline of where we're at today, even in the position that we're in today with it, as opposed to a lot of these other people that are out here that are trying to do it, I think, you know, and everybody said, even the top tier people that are backing us, even the people that have been in this business 20, 30 years that are on our team, on the executive side, have said, don't feel bad. I'm working, you know, I've worked on projects 6, 7, 8 years like this with less of a budget, with no cast. How you guys were able to put all this together with literally nothing is beyond me. And we've heard that time and time again. We've never heard, well, I mean, there has been only one person that's convinced, like, oh, unless you get, you know, some big actors in the movie, it can't be done. But it's never been about the directing or the producing or the budget or anything else. It's always about the big name actors. You know, I feel like we have an incredible cast. I think we can do a lot with this cast. I think we can do a lot with this movie. But at the end of the day, you know, I've always said, hey, listen, I told Stevie this from the beginning, you get John Singleton to direct this movie, I would gladly step down. I would be happy to be just an actor in the film. Absolutely. You know what I mean? I just, you know, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. You know, I think the budget, you know, and I feel like this. I mean, and I think everybody in a film, and you'll see when we really get into the heart of the whistleblowers and we start going after what we want to go after for this, and we start going, well, we got $500,000, maybe we can get matching funds and we get $1 million. Well, we got $1 million. We got somebody over here that I think would put in another $500,000. When you start doing that, and we start, you know, organizing the numbers, and we start organizing the story, and we start organizing the cast. I mean, even with some of the people that we talked about that you even said that you would really like to see in this film, right? Mm-hmm. Those are people that are doable. We could go after those people. We can't go after them, though, with $30,000. No, we can't go after them with $100,000. No. You have to shoot. You have to shoot like that. You have to be that driven. You know?
Well, I'm
There
like
are-
a perpetual budger. Like I'll budge all the time. Like I budged on whistleblowers like this year since the new year. Me and Jeremy decided we were going to pursue like a screenwriting competition circuit. We set aside a few $1,000s, and I've been paying and entering it into every screenwriting competition that exists under
Right.
the sun. And to do that, they all have rules that you can't have it optioned. So I took everybody's name off of IMDb, except for the writers. That's it. So it can't look like it's been optioned yet.
Right.
And I want to see what happens with that because I don't have $3 million to shoot it, and I'm not even afraid of it. I'm positive that somebody else is going to come out with a NSA themed comedy before it drops, and then it'll be just a ripoff. It'll be a knockoff. That'll be the second movie. It'll be, all the movies that come out in pairs now.
Right.
What was it? White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Came out at the exact same time.
Right.
Zootopia and Pets coming out at the exact same time. They just do that now. It's
Right.
it's the new thing.
Well, but here's my thing. I mean, I feel like you have, and it's and it's funny because people who don't know or they don't understand it truly, because you know this, you get all these experts. Oh, well, if it was me, I would have done this with the movie.
Right.
Oh, if it was me, I would have done that. Or if it was me, I'd be okay with dropping. Listen, it's not you. It's not you.
That's right.
You don't know, and no, you wouldn't. People, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say that from the
it's
back
easy
end.
to say that when you're a third person.
Right.
You
But
know?
the way that entering in screenwriting competitions is budging in a way is because pie in the sky, best case scenario that can come out of that is I could not only like win a competition, but I could get it optioned by
Right.
a major studio.
Right.
And when that happens, I sell my script and I wave goodbye to it.
Right.
And we're not shooting it anymore ourselves.
Right.
So that's like an example of how I, would be less aggressively ambitious in trying to calculate my way into getting my foot in the door without trying to kick it in.
Yeah. As to where I would try to kick it in.
Yeah, it's almost like a.
But see, that's the absolute pro of the network that we all have is, I mean, we're all good friends, and granted, some ideas some of us may have are off the wall, but the other ones refine it and help us with it. Doesn't mean you lose anything. Doesn't mean you lose anything. It just means we work as a team, as a network, and
Well,
that's what I've.
Well, I think the thing too is that, I mean, when you go back again, this goes back to motivation. It goes back to being so driven that you want to exhaust. And I'm a firm believer of this, and I say this all the time, and I tell Stevie this daily: leave no stone unturned. You leave no stone unturned. You don't. I think what you're doing with whistleblowers, I think that's brilliant. I mean, if you can enter it and you enter it and somebody picks it up and you can option it, I mean, I think that's great. But on the interim, I mean, how much greater would it be if we could get this movie done? If we shot this movie and we were able to use the people that we wanted to use in this film, and we were able to go get it. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like is after we shoot Money is King, after we shoot Money is King, the doors that would open, the distributor that's going to be working with us, and some of the other people that are going to be working with us on that side of it once we get the project done, have all expressed a ton of interest in everything else that we're a part of because they see that ambition. They're like, it's funny. Dana White from the UFC has this new show on YouTube right now called Picking a Fight. And him, Matt Serra, and his best friend travel all over the country. And they do, it's funny because now they're going into different cities. It's kind of cool to see him doing other things. Like they'll go, they went to Alaska to see a fight and they did some sled dog racing and they jumped in 25 below degree weather, water. You know what I mean? Like they're doing, but one of the things he said to me, he goes, when I go to these cities and I see these fights, he said, if you're a fighter and you want to get signed to the UFC, which is the ultimate goal, don't fucking show up. Don't show up out of shape. If you know we're coming, don't fucking show up out of shape. Don't show up being a fucking pussy, is what he said. Don't show up, don't go into the fucking octagon and be cautious. There's this guy at one of the fights.
It's a weird choice of words because pussies can take a pounding.
That's
And balls
true.
can't. So
That's
it's like,
true.
don't show up like a pair of balls. all just dangling and like, oh.
Right. See, that's true.
But the point is this fighter
Very good point.
won his fight And then, and he was, and all 4 episodes, he was the only one to do this. He fucking jumped out of the octagon and ran right up to Dana's table. He was like, I want into the UFC now. Like, and everybody was like getting ready to jump on him. And when he walked away, Dana was like, I fucking love that.
Yeah.
That's the shit I'm talking
I can
about.
sell that. That's good.
Right?
Right.
When you want
It's
something,
engaging.
when you want something, fucking go after it. This, and listen, is it a road less traveled? Does it take longer? Fuck, Danger.
Maybe.
Bro, people tell me, I tell people all the time, I would love to have had this movie done a year ago. If you think we can make it work with $10,000, let's make it work. I just don't want the quality of the movie to dissipate because we had to drop the budget. I want the story to still be
The
there.
only thing that drops is the only thing that bloated the budget was being told that we can't sell it internationally without certain names and then engaging those names. But I know Stevie is like perfectly happy with shooting it with no names and printing DVDs and selling 50,000 of them and making money and then using that to, like almost like instead of having money as
Well, listen, I will say this. There comes a point when you have to go, okay, hold on. Like, I mean, we went from this, now we're down here and we're going to sell DVDs out of the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand where that mentality comes from. You know why? Because he was in the music business. And that's what they did with Fat Fish.
Yeah.
And ask him how many CDs they sold out of the trunk with all those grand ideas of doing that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? This is a much different monster. This is a much different animal. You know what I mean? Ask how many filmmakers are out there selling DVDs hand to hand. If you can show me one that's doing it today, I'd be shocked. It's not happening. You know why? Because the digital age and the world that we live in today it's not like that. That's why even artists, music artists, they're not doing that. Everything's social now. Download the music. You mean they're hustling their music online. The thing is I have the, and it's always, and Stevie and I kind of go back and forth on this all the time. Stevie was like, we'll just slumdog it. Let's slumdog it. We'll shoot the whole goddamn movie by the pool. Well, yeah. I get it. And I love that. I think that's great. But there comes a time when you really do dissipate quality and you shoot yourself in the foot because you're just like, fuck it, I'm so anxious to get it done that I'll just shoot it however we want it and just hope that it'll sell. It doesn't work like that. And guess what? The more you drop that. I would love to have, listen, if I was able to call Quentin, Debo, Rick Ross, and all these guys that would help sell this movie and say, look, guys, come hang out with us for 4 or 5 days for the week. You're not going to get paid $1. You're going to take a deferred payment on this movie if we get it picked up. If we sell a certain amount of handheld DVDs, then you'll get paid. I would love for them to be able to go, man, Eric, fuck yeah, we're in. Let's do it.
Sounds great. I love you, man. You always deliver.
And guess what? Not shooting it guerrilla style all over the fucking city, hoping we don't get caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would love to be able to do that. But the beautiful thing about having a budget is you can create that world around you. Right. When you go on set, like, listen, some of the best times
you can expect the blood squibs to look good, not hope they look good.
That's right.
Right.
You can expect the blood. You can expect it when you're shooting a scene. You got people blocking, you got lights, you got things going on so that when you're engaged in that scene, you don't hear fucking people talking and running around and everybody standing around. People don't show up to set high and people are not. There's just a different level of professionalism. When you have a budget. You know what I mean? And I get the whole.
That's one reason why I was more okay with going this option with, like, for instance, like I was talking to Stevie about how, like, I really want to crack at the Money is King script. I've been working with Ron since the beginning with it, and I feel like I know how to make it a lot better. Mm-hmm. And
really,
absolutely. And I'm dying to get a script to try at it, and I wouldn't ask for any money. I just want to, like, write it up and show it to you guys and let you guys.
How come you never talked to me about this?
Because I didn't think it was an option. I thought it was just like, oh, this is it, and here's the money, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll get this other stuff.
But
together.
You talked to Stevie about it.
Just like 2 days ago, and because we were shooting this rerun thing, and he's asking me on stage, like, hey man, what do you think about us shooting Money is King like this? And I'm like, talk to Eric, man. I'm like,
see, and I'll be honest with you, that's probably not something I should have. Like you said, it made you cringe to have a SAG actor doing something like that, but because I have an undying belief in Stevie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have an undying belief in Stevie, and I have an undying belief in Dirt. Like, I want to do anything I can to help,
But the whistleblowers.
But here's the thing,
If we
I
had
would not-
30,000 to shoot that today. Like I think we could shoot Money Is King. Not in its current state. There's too many speaking roles in crazy locations. It's turned into a $3 million movie. But we can get it back to where it was, to like the simple concept. It's a story about Dirt and his character and his brother, and like these guys.
Right.
Make the other gangsters in the movie more authentic, New Mexican, Latino gangsters with cool tattoos, make them real scary, like
Right.
you know, and like not like weird Chinese gangs and weird things that don't make any sense.
But you know what? It's like this. It's like having. It's and it's so that's so I get it. I get what you're saying, and sometimes that's so tough to make those decisions because you get to these points in these movies. It's like having a Ferrari, you know. It's like having a Ferrari car, right? What's it called? The body.
The chases.
It's like having a Ferrari body and having a Pinto engine in it.
I thought that's what it was called, chassis or
Chassis.
Chassis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were out there.
Car guy.
Chassis
Yeah,
short for
I thought he was fucking around saying what'd you say?
chases. I thought that was
Chases,
the
yeah.
word for it.
Oh yeah.
But it's like having a Ferrari body and having a Pinto engine, and you know, and then when you open it up,
A bunch of shit falls
yeah,
out.
your gear shifts an 8-ball that was screwed on, and you know your steering wheel's not authentic. Like, you know, from the outside it looks great. Oh yeah, and then you open it up and it runs like shit.
The
You can't-
seats have like your grandma's beads on them.
Right,
What
like-
are you doing?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Smells
And-
like smoke.
And for me, I just have this terrible fear in my mind that everybody wants to drum it down so bad just to get it done that we do that to the film.
Mm-hmm.
And now we take out all these, you know, because here's the thing. One leads into another. You know what I mean? Distribution doesn't happen unless we have some name value into the
Right.
film and we have the ability to sell it. You know what I mean?
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean, and I will agree, not necessarily,
Because the script where it is now panders to big names, international bombasticism, big craziness, kind of like movies like Crank, stuff like that. Like it's just like over the top, crazy, like violence, like insane. But it panders to that international thing. It definitely turned into what it was supposed to be.
Right.
What they were asking us to turn into. But what it isn't anymore is authentic. It doesn't have a heart, you know, like there's no main character. And I feel like if we can get that under control and make it more of like an authentic New Mexican about these
you don't
characters.
think it has a
going
heart
through
or a
this.
main character?
No, like Dirt and Anton are in like a quarter of the movie. They're like not even in the movie. There's so many other characters.
Yeah, but the whole story is based around Darnell.
But if either way, like if it was more of like a simple toned down kind of, you know, like even Training Day, which is a huge movie,
Right.
is simple, and you were using that as an example of what Money Is King was kind of like in the ballpark of.
Mm-hmm.
Training Day and Afterwatch are both fundamentally simpler movies. They have huge heart because you're following one character around, and you know exactly what's going on with them. They don't spend half the movie or more talking about these other people that don't have anything to do with it. They're just going to die, and you don't really meet them at the beginning or the end. It's like kind of like, whoa, what is going on in this? And it's more of like that. What was that? Smoking Aces.
Right.
Crank, things like that, where there's no heart, there's no character, but it's all whoa, you
Yeah,
know, like
right.
And it's turned into that. And I feel like if we turned it back into that heart, New Mexico, Burqueño gangster, Money Is King, real drug, like real cartel people, real gangsters, you know, the ones kind of like the ones from Training Day, those Valley gangsters, like those were authentic guys. I believe that, you know. All the gangsters in Training Day, completely believe them. The
Right.
ones in Afterwatch are kind of silly, you know, like the super tough Chicana lesbian
Oh, that was
one. He's
that.
like
I didn't buy that.
smoking, you know.
Yeah, I didn't buy
kinda
those
silly.
guys.
They're like they turned little homie dolls into real people, and they're like, go, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we brought it down, made it more simple, made it all about the heart and the message and what Antoine and Dirt are going through and real effects and how that affects and changes them and the choices and how they're affecting everything and this whole world is coming down around them. I think we can bring it way down and shoot it for way cheaper and make it, because this is what I'm hoping to do with my next project and with the Whistleblowers is like, or not the Whistleblowers, but my next one is the next couple ones that I'm writing. I want to make them so freaking good, simple and good.
Quality.
Like Blue Ruin, is a good example. That one's a huge movie right now. It's got 5 stars on Netflix. It's absolutely underdog, came out of left field. No one ever heard of it until it was getting amazing reviews
What's
on
it called?
Netflix. It's called Blue Ruin. And there's nobody in it. You don't know anyone. And it's about one guy just going and the struggle, and it's crazy, and it's so gripping, and it won all these awards at Sundance. And I'm like, what if we go that route? What if we take it down and make instead of the biggest movie we can, make the best, simplest movie that we can.
Well, here's the thing.
And then send it to Sundance and send it to film festivals where it will do well because it's good. Because if you take The Money is King that's written now, that script, and we shoot that and send it to Sundance, it'll get laughed out. They'll be like, what is this? Crazy.
Well, for me, here's the thing. For me as a director, directing a film like that for Money is King, to direct that film, like, I really feel like that's the movie for me that's going to put me into the next level.
Yeah, that's your foot in the door.
You know what I mean? Not only as a director, but a producer and an actor. You know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because, someone made a statement one day, and this was a while back. Oh, well, most people who try that, it can't be done. It really can't be done.
It's true.
But
most of them give up.
Most of them give up.
That's why.
That's the difference.
And I'm, if anybody who knows me, they know I don't quit.
That dude from Boondock Saints, he sold his script and he convinced them to let him direct it and for his band to compose the soundtrack, and he just barely squeaked because he's working with Harvey Weinstein
Right.
in Los Angeles.
Right.
And he was a nothing from nowhere. And he barely squeaked in and got his movie done, but by the time it was finished, everyone hated him so bad because he was such a lunatic and out of the same way that Trump is not in the establishment of Washington, that's why everyone likes him. Doesn't work the same way with Hollywood.
Right.
And he was so anti-establishment, so anti how it was working, that Weinstein took his movie and kicked him out and said he's never going to work in this town again, and it was true, but he never gave up. And he got his sequel made. And that was his life dream, to make those 2 movies.
Right.
And he got it done eventually. And so there's something to be said about that. About he's a good example of someone who and honestly, in my opinion, deserved to fail, but he succeeded because he did not give up, and I think that's extremely important.
Well, I think for me, where I'm at with it is I know that I can pull the best. I know that I can pull the best out of what I need from these actors. I know that I can direct a very, very, very good movie. I know that I can, because I know the people front to back. I know the story front to back. I know exactly how it should be shot. You know what I mean? And that doesn't and that's not coming from an arrogant standpoint. That's not saying that
No, I know exactly how you feel.
I'm not saying that I won't take advice or opinions, but I've said it. Once we start shooting the film, I'm going to be a lot different than I was when we shot the trailer. A lot different. I allowed a lot of things to go on that, when we start shooting that feature.
Because you were just happy everybody was there helping.
Right. Like, when we start shooting the feature, there's going to be a lot of changes, made. Because, for me, for everybody else, listen, for the other actors, it's come in and leave. Crew, they'll move on to the next project. For me, and I'm not saying this isn't probably the same way Stevie doesn't feel, or even Dirk, but this opens the doors for me. This allows me to go and do options and to create opportunities so that I can come back to you and say, you know what, Danger? I have $500,000 for Whistleblowers. We can do this. You want to shoot the movie for $500,000? We got it. And we got distribution, and we got P&A, and we got publicity. We got it, right? Those are the seeds that I've been planting. The publicity firm that I've been talking to for the last year about Money is King has done some of Kevin Hart's biggest movies in the last 2 years. And they're completely on board, And when I got people like that who believe in me, and I haven't shot a frame of the film, and they go, "E, we see your vision. Like, you're completely out of your fucking mind, but we love it, and we see it. Yes. What else you got?" You know what I mean? So, and they've heard about these other projects. They've heard about the Whistleblowers. They've heard about Wild Minds. I just need to get this one out the gate.
Yeah, totally.
And whatever it takes to get it out of the gate is what I'm going to do. If that means we give you a crack at because ultimately Stevie's going to talk to me about it anyway. You know what I mean? If that means we give you a crack at the script and you come in and you doctor it up. Now, just let me remind you, you're risking a battle on your hands, because, I don't think the writer is going to be okay with you coming in and doctoring it up, but
He's somewhere in Los Angeles doing endurance stretching now. I think he gave up on film.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, the last conversation I heard about him in the script was that he was taking it with him, And
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, he flat out told Stevie, it's my script, and I'm taking it to Los Angeles and optioning it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you're going to have a battle on your hands. I don't listen at this point. I mean, if you feel like there's something that you can do to it, I wouldn't be opposed at all to giving you a crack at it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we need to read it and we'd all need to sit down and talk about that and see what you came up with. But I mean, if it's something that you really feel like you can do, why not?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think that it's funny, even like with even Josh and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about, filming here and, dealing with agents and dealing with people in this business. And it's so frustrating sometimes, because on the producer director side, I feel one way. As an actor, I feel a completely different way. And a couple weeks ago, Josh and I sat down and we were, being internet gurus, and we were, submitting and doing all these things as actors. And I couldn't help but to sit there and think to myself, like, wow, man, like it's been so long since I've done this. It's been so long since I've come back to this and just gone back to the basics, and it's really cool because, when I see guys like Josh, and I know there's a lot of guys here that, will call me and talk to me about their perspective ideas as an actor or what they need to do. And, I don't feel like I've done it. I think everybody has their own way to success. They have their own way to break through those doors. But when I can offer some advice and I tell people, look, it's not rocket science. You just got to get out there and do it. You got to get out there and do it. In this, and I say this all the time, you've heard me say this, Josh, you've heard me say this. In this game, you must be present to win.
Absolutely.
There's no two ways about it. I don't give a fuck if you're a comedian, if you're a producer, if you're a writer, if you're an actor, if you're a director.
There's no phoning it in, yeah.
Yeah, if
You
you're
have
not,
to be there.
Yeah, if you're not engaged, you're not doing it all the time. You're not putting yourself out there. Your face isn't seen. Your name isn't heard. What's your worth?
Right.
You could be the baddest dude on the planet. If nobody knows who you are, what's your worth? Right?
Yeah.
And that's why you get these guys that are going out there and they're doing these types of films and they're doing everything they can to get them into Sundance and all these film festivals. I mean, I think that maniacal type of aggressiveness towards your life and towards your career is absolutely necessary. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I was I'll be honest with you, Danger. If I was reasonable about Money is King, I'd have walked away from it a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I really would have. I'd have been like, you know what?
He's like, y'all crazy. I got to get you an audition.
I'm good. Like, yo, like this is nuts.
I'm interviewing over at Lowe's.
Yeah, I mean, for real.
I'm gonna be a department manager.
Think about it. I mean, when you think about when you think
That's
about
a good job. Don't knock it.
when you think about the process by which we've had to go through, and just that hurry up and wait, and every day we're just hoping for that call, and we're talking. I'm constantly talking to people every single day. Here's what people don't know, Danger. While everybody else has gone off to do their own thing, whatever it may be, and I'm not mad at it, I've still every single day for the last year and a half, now almost 2 years, have been grinding and phone calls and text messaging and emailing people. That
It is 2 years. It was
Yeah.
2 years ago, like last month that I
Yeah.
was brought on. Or no, it was April.
that we
I
did the
was brought on.
trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and people don't realize that. People are like, they have no idea the mental strain that, just me being so focused on Money is King. I mean, listen, even my executive producer is now out shooting 9 different movies. You know what I mean? I'm like, what happened to Money is King? Like, let's focus on that. Let's get that done. And I'm not mad at it. I get it. Everybody, you have to expand. You have to prune to grow. You have to do these things. But my point is this, is that,
When he gets anxious, if he's not hustling right now.
Right. And I get it.
Do
I mean,
himself.
hence the bundle's the billionaire, I get it. But the fact of the matter is we have to, for me, I am super ambitious because I super believe. I'm ambitious about that, and I said this to you before. When you came and talked to me about directing Whistleblowers, I was really honored by that and I was blown away. But there's a reason you came and talked to me about it. There's a reason you wanted me involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because where you might have those limitations and you might go, well, I don't know if I'll go that far. I'll go that far.
Absolutely.
You'll know I'll go that far. I'll fight for it. I'll go get it. That's all there is to it. And that's what I try to tell everybody. And, I don't want to take us too much longer. We've already kind of run over on our time. But I will say this. I mean, with that being said, to all those people who are listening to us, and if you want to share this podcast, we would all greatly appreciate it. I mean, this is now our 7th episode?
Something like that.
Yeah, this is our 7th episode. And we want to thank you all for your support on Facebook. We all want to thank you for for the support on Instagram and on Twitter. I promise you we will be on iTunes soon. I promise. But let me say this. In conclusion, fight for what you want. Fight, no matter what. Don't let anybody tell you it can't be done. I think that in this day and age, it's okay to let people know that you're for real. It's okay to let people know that you're not going to quit. It's okay to let your children know that it's not okay to just sit back and hope that everything works out and hope that everything, goes their way. Teach your kids that life is not easy. Life, especially in this day and age and the things that this world is facing today, nobody's going to hand you anything ever, ever, ever. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter who you are. If you're not out there working, you're not out there getting it, nobody's going to fucking hand you anything in this life. You got to go get it yourself. Don't let anybody or anything or anybody convince you that, if you just show up, it's going to be all good. You have to work. You have to grind every single day. And when you don't feel comfortable doing it, that's when you should do it more. You got to push against the grain. You got to fight.
Very true. Very true.
Quit being a weak and dangling little pair of balls and be a pussy. Take that pounding.
I don't know if I would have put that so eloquent, but that's a nice eloquent example.
You want to be a thick, meaty pussy. You want to take it.
Josh?
Thank you for having us today. And our guest wasn't able to make it, but we will have him on again, I'm very sure.
No, he's right here. He just hasn't said anything.
Yeah, he's right here. No, actually.
What's up, Ray Borg?
Yeah, we were supposed to have Ray Borg from the UFC on today. Unfortunately, he had a bit of an emergency, and told him that we would definitely reschedule him. But look for us on Twitter and Instagram at The Focus Podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, email us at thefocuspodcast@gmail.com. Check out Danger. Tell them about your sketch comedy, where they can see you.
Sketchy TV on YouTube. Look for the one with the icon. It looks like a sketch pad with the word sketchy written on it.
Yeah. Also, check out my new website. I am Eric Martinez. There's a lot of exciting updates that are going to be going up this month. Make sure you follow me at emartinez6670 on Instagram and at The Real Eric M on Twitter. And again, thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate you.